Good morning. Welcome to Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace. Welcome to the Soul of Sunday. We are Unitarian Universalists. Ours is an historic faith with a progressive theology. We affirm the worth and dignity of every being, and that we are all deeply interconnected. We are bound to one another, not by creed, but by covenant. And we are called to answer the call of love with open minds, open hearts, and open hands. Whoever you are, those of all nations, all creeds, all colors, all kinds of love, you are welcome here. As we gather here at Arlington Street Church, we acknowledge we are on the homeland of the Massachusetts. By making this land acknowledgement, we recognize, honor, and affirm the sovereignty of all First Nations peoples. Dear ones, as always, it's so good to be together while apart. Daryl and I would be talking to each other, and Mark David and our musicians would be playing to a truly empty house, if not for the tech team. Thank you, tech team. Welcome, dear ones. And for those of you who are new to Arlington Street, a very special welcome to you. Please take a moment now to fill out a connection card. The link is in the chat. Since I can't greet you in person after the service, I would love to follow up with a virtual hello. Whether you've been coming here for years or today is your first time at Arlington Street, welcome home.
Good morning. What a joy to be here with all of you this morning. If you haven't already downloaded today's order of service, it's available in the chat and on the homepage at ascboston.org. All of the hymn lyrics are included in the order of service and will be posted in the chat so that we can sing together. There's also a link to Sermon Bingo on the homepage. Feel free to play along while Reverend Kim preaches. As we continue our greetings, let's all say hello in the chat and engage that Arlington Street spirit of welcome that transcends physical distance as we greet one another heart to heart.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Mark David Buckles, the Director of Music. So good to virtually be with you today. Our first hymn is one that's become a classic at Arlington Street Church and far beyond. Emma's Revolutions, Swimming to the Other Side. I hope you will sing along with us. Here we go. We are living neath the great Big Dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. I am alone and I am searching, hungering for answers in my time. I am balanced at the brink of wisdom. I'm impatient to receive a sign. I move forward with my senses open. Imperfection, it be my crime. In humility I will listen. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living neath the great Big Dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. On this journey through thoughts and feelings, binding intuition, my head, my heart, I am gathering the tools together. I'm preparing to do my part. All of those who have come before me band together and be my guide. Loving lessons that I will follow. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living neath the great Big Dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. when we get there, we'll discover all of the gifts we've been given to share have been with us since life's beginning, and we never noticed they were there. We can balance at the brink of wisdom, never recognizing that we've arrived. Loving spirits will live together. We're all swimming to the other side. We are living neath the great Big Dipper. We are washed by the very same rain. We are swimming in the stream together, some in power and some in pain. We can worship this ground we walk on, cherishing the beings that we live beside. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side. Loving spirits will live forever. We're all swimming to the other side.
Time for our treasured ritual of sharing community candles of sorrow and joy. These candles were submitted on our website by the Friday evening deadline. If you didn't submit your candle and have a joy or sorrow to share this morning, please wait until the third candle is lit, the silent candle, and then type your joy or sorrow in the chat. In addition to sharing our sorrows and joys this morning, let's reach out to one another in the week ahead, staying connected. May these times remind us of how very precious this beloved community is. We need one another. Despite having to be apart, may we stay very close. And now, in the spirit of invocation, let's join in singing Sanctuary. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat.
Some of us come today with heavy hearts. We open our hearts to you.
A candle of sorrow from Queen Cheryl. A candle of sorrow for Anne from the beauty parlor who passed away this week. I'm not certain how old she was, as Anne would never tell, though I'm pretty sure she'd been around since the days of Noah. For 22 years, we were booked together on Saturday mornings for hair appointments. The atmosphere smelled of blue hair dye and was always filled with friendly chatter about nothing in particular, but which always left me feeling good. Rest well, Anne, I'll miss you. And our final candle of sorrow is a mixed one from Richard Matoli. My dearest sister Janet will be experiencing her third-year evaluation for a brain aneurysm this Monday. Please send prayers and positive thoughts for her well-being.
And as we welcome our joys, we welcome with great joy Harriet's children, Keeler and Maya, who were raised in this church. All Harriet wanted for her 75th birthday was to be with her children, and they have joined us here today in the Zoom room. Welcome, welcome, Keeler and Maya, my little beloveds, now all grown. And happy birthday, Harriet. What a beautiful celebration. Some of us come today in joy, and we share your joy.
And our final candle of joy also comes from Richard Matoli. I'm wanting to express gratitude to this community during a particularly difficult time.
For all the sorrows and all the joys we hold in our hearts, we light a silent candle to remember and to rejoice. May the peace of this sanctuary enter into our hearts as we share a quiet moment together, breathing our prayers for ourselves, for one another, for our country, and for the world. Amen.
Let's join now in saying together the affirmation and covenant of this beloved spiritual community. The words are printed in your order of service and in the chat. Love is the spirit of this congregation, and service is our gift. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to speak our truths in love, and to help one another.
El amor es el espíritu de nuestra congregación, y el servicio es nuestro regalo. Eso es a lo que nos comprometemos, convivir en paz, hablar nuestras verdades con amor y ayudarnos los unos a los otros.
Come down, O love divine, seek thou this soul
Let's join now in singing together, Come Down, O Love Divine. Early in the pandemic, Reverend Beth, Cam, and I were walking at Cape Cod Bay Beach at low tide when far ahead of us we spotted something strange in the sand, a black lump. And then as we came closer, we could see that it was a bird, a loon, a common loon. Common but uncommon. By my lights, loons belong on lakes in Maine. But it turns out that's only a small part of their story. Common loons migrate from northern lakes to coastal ocean waters, both Atlantic and Pacific. This poor fellow had been blown out of the sky, and now he was hunkered down in a cold, steady wind. He didn't even stir as we approached, but he was alive. We ran for a blanket and a wheelbarrow. Kem bravely dropped the blanket over him and gently scooped him up, avoiding his sharp bill. Though she needn't have worried, he was utterly docile. We wheeled him off the beach in the wheelbarrow, our loon baby. He was gorgeous, his intricately patterned black and white feathered body, perfect black head, and red eyes. We tucked him into a cardboard box, closed the flaps, loaded him to a friend's station wagon, and off they went to Wildcare, a sanctuary for rescued birds. And then I began to fret. It's always great to have something to fret about when there's a huge thing to fret about which you can do nothing. The entire world was in lockdown while a deadly pathogen raged, and I was fretting about my loon. What happened to him? Was he going to live through the night? Could he survive being released back into the wild? I held off as long as I could, and then that evening I called Wildcare. They said, he's a boy. He's skinny. He's dehydrated. They had gotten a lot of Pedialyte into him using a syringe. They said, we'll have to wait and see. All night, I fretted. The next morning, I called Wildcare. Yes, he was alive, and in fact, at that very moment, he was swimming around and around in their indoor pool. Filled with gratitude, I wrote a check to Wildcare and put it in the mail. Not long afterward, he appeared on their Facebook feed, plumping up in rehab and readying for release. Duly noted. Not one moment of my fretting made a difference to his survival. What had made a difference was getting him to help, and then it was out of my hands. Period. I forgave myself my fretting. It came from caring. But I could also see clearly that would have been much more helpful and certainly more pleasant would have been to practice acceptance. Fretting is, as we say in Zen Buddhism, extra. The instruction is nothing extra. This is Mennonite minister Reverend Sherry Hostetler's poem, Instructions. Give up the world. Give up self. Finally, give up God. Find God in rhododendrons and rocks, passersby, your cat. Pair your beliefs, your absolutes. Make it simple. Make it clean. Examine all you have with a loving and critical eye. Then throw away some more. Repeat, repeat. Keep this and only this, what your heart beats loudly for, what feels heavy and full in your gut. There will only be one or two things you will keep, and they will fit lightly in your pocket. No fretting, nothing extra, just acceptance. Indian Jesuit priest and psychotherapist Tony DeMello tells this story. A man who took great pride in his lawn found himself with a large crop of dandelions. He tried every method he knew to get rid of them. Still, they plagued him. Finally, he wrote to the Department of Agriculture. He enumerated all the things he had tried and closed the letter with a question: what shall I do now? In due course, the reply came: we suggest you learn to love them. Love is the high ropes course of acceptance. But maybe if, say, your neighbor is a hard person to love, you could start with acceptance. Accept thy neighbor is entry level. Love thy neighbor. Oh, impossible, you say. I know. Remembering that the longest distance is between the head and the heart. Here are some things we know about acceptance, although it may mean setting out on that longest journey to really know them. Acceptance is a spiritual practice. Acceptance does not mean that something is acceptable. It may be completely unacceptable. Acceptance doesn't mean we need to want it or like it, let alone choose it, endorse it, or support it. But to refuse to accept the truth of what is only adds suffering to our pain. To resist what is extra and burns up energy that could fuel change. To accept is to create space for the truth. Therapist Megan Bruno reminds us that to accept is a verb. It happens. And it keeps happening, and it has to happen again and again. Acceptance can be frustrating to the point of exasperation. It's a muscle we build. It can require Herculean effort. And only when we accept that something is unacceptable can we begin to change it. Many of you know that this is step 1 in the 12 steps of recovery from addiction. From the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. That chapter begins, who cares to admit complete defeat? Practically no one, of course. Every natural instinct cries out against the idea of personal powerlessness. It is truly awful to admit that, glass in hand, we have warped our minds into such an obsession for destructive drinking that only an act of providence can remove us. No other kind of bankruptcy is like this one. Alcohol now, become the rapacious creditor, bleeds us of all self-sufficiency and all will to resist its demands. But upon entering AA, we soon take quite another view of this absolute humiliation. We perceive that only through utter defeat are we able to take our first steps toward liberation and strength. Our admissions of personal powerlessness finally turn out to be firm bedrock upon which happy and purposeful lives may be built. The trick to acceptance is to practice it over and over and over, and so lay down the neural pathways in our brains until it becomes a habit, until rather than throwing up resistance, we open to its lessons. Acceptance is detaching from outcomes, but it is not apathy. It is not giving up, rolling over, and playing dead. We can accept things exactly as they are and still want to change them, work to change them. American theologian Reinhold Niebuhr's Serenity Prayer begins, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Finally, it helps to remember the truth of impermanence, that everything, in fact, does change. When my friend Sylvia had 4 kids under the age of 5.5, she painted a rafter across her kitchen ceiling with a Hebrew phrase that means, this too shall pass. For years, I've loved the story of author and teacher Dr. Richard Moss' spiritual awakening. Dr. Moss had traveled to Lone Pine, California to meet American mystic and esoteric philosopher Franklin Merrill Wolff. Just after his 30th birthday, he was sitting in a cafe, sipping coffee and scanning Dr. Wolff's book, Pathways Through to Space, when he says, all at once, the words began to dance on the page. As I looked around, everything seemed alive with energy. The very air itself was on fire with radiant light, and my body felt like an atomic reactor gone wild. I left the cafe and headed up a country road toward the mountains, he continues. A shimmering brilliance pervaded everything, and I began to dissolve into the world around me. I and the world out there were almost indistinguishable. The part of me that was observing all this was trying to regain control and thus resisting the process. I became afraid. My medical school mind offered a host of distressing diagnoses. I could feel my heart pounding. I tried to breathe deeply in order to center myself. I found nothing I had learned gave me any authority over this experience. I told myself to let go, but then I began to dissolve even more, and the fear became overwhelming. Dr. Moss remained in this state, uninterrupted, for 4 or 5 days. He says, I was standing at the edge of an abyss, afraid and unable to let go, yet too anguished to remain where I was. He called a mentor who said he was not gifted enough to help him. I knew then, Dr. Moss says, that while I was loved and supported, I was also on my own. This proved to be a crucial turning point. It was a transformational journey, a radical opening, and finally, he reached a state of resignation. He says, I had done everything I could think to do. All that was left was acceptance. I vowed to myself that I would live one moment at a time, and even if I knew nothing but this misery, I would learn to be grateful. All that was left was acceptance, acceptance, and gratitude. Dr. Richard Moss went on to become a great spiritual teacher. Let's end with this extraordinary story. On the night he almost died, Zach Sutterfield felt like life was just beginning. And maybe it was, though in no way how anyone might have imagined it. It was 2018, at the start of his junior year at Texas State University. Zach was asleep on the couch in a friend's second-floor apartment when suddenly it was engulfed in flames. He escaped and survived, but his terrible burns were extensive and disfiguring. 32 surgeries later, with more to go, he is relearning how to do almost everything. When Zach faces the inevitable stares and whispers out in public, he says, "I try to break the weird, awkward moment by giving people a compliment. Instead of feeling bad for me, which is something I don't want, it's a way to make them smile. I try to give out more love than I receive." I used to have long blonde hair. Some mornings I wake up, look in the mirror, and expect to look like I used to. It's hard accepting that this is who I am when I don't even recognize myself. But it's not going to change anytime soon. So I might as well learn to love it, accept it, and love it. The apartment complex had no centralized fire alarm or sprinkler system. The fire was ruled an arson. But Zach Satterfield isn't bitter, he's inspired. Now 23 years old, he's doing frequent speaking engagements. He's on a mission to educate other students about fire safety. He just launched a fire safety foundation called Brighter Than the Fire. He's back to working towards his college degree in English. He plans to work as a teacher one day and attend law school and run for office. Nothing's going to stop me, he says. Nothing is going to stop me. Beloved spiritual companions, acceptance does not mean that something is acceptable. But only when we accept that something is unacceptable can we begin to change it. Sometimes all that is left is acceptance, acceptance and gratitude, acceptance and love. I want to give Zach Sutterfield the last word. He says, love those around you. Recognize how precious every moment is. Be grateful for your life. Accept it and love it. Amen.
It shatters my bones. It shatters my bones. Whispers. Then I remember you. The sound of your waterfalls. Your waves slip over me. I am within calm. With the new day. And in the night your song will be with me.
Hello, everyone. Our generosity continues to be astounding. Thank you for your commitment to our staff, our building, and our beloved spiritual community. I had the opportunity to co-host Poems to Go On over the summer. It was delightful, not just for the poetry, but also for the company. Both were exquisite. We're here in the Arlington Street Zoom room every Monday afternoon at 4. Some people come with a poem to share. We love hearing old favorites, and we've introduced each other to lots of new poets. Some come just to listen. Sometimes we bring something for the season or for our mood. Sometimes we just like the sound of the words, whether or not we're sure just what the poet is saying. It's a lovely, nourishing hour. Monday afternoons at 4 have become a standing date in my book. I wouldn't miss Poems to Go On. And whether or not you think you like poetry, I promise you the company alone is worth the price of admission, which is free. I'd love to see you tomorrow afternoon. For today, here's a poem to go on for you. Acceptance by Robert Frost. When the spent sun throws up its rays on cloud and goes down burning into the gulf below, no voice in nature is heard to cry aloud at what has happened. Birds at least must know it is the change to darkness in the sky. Murmuring something quiet in her breast, one bird begins to close a faded eye, or overtaken too far from its nest, hurrying low above the grove, some waif swoops just in time to his remembered tree. At most he thinks or twitters softly, safe. Now let the night be dark for all of me. Let the night be too dark for me to see into the future. Let what will be, be. Friends, Arlington Street is entirely self-sustaining. Please take a moment now to join me in giving generously and filling our virtual collection plate. You can text the word GIVE, G-I-V-E, to 617-300-0509. Scan the QR code in the order of service. Visit our homepage at ascboston.org and click on the yellow Donate Now button. or write a check and send it to Arlington Street Church. Thank you for your generosity. After you make your gift to sustain our beloved community, please continue to share in the chat what inspires you during these times.
Well, I was born with all I needed, came to this world complete and whole. Though I would journey long just to see it, those 3 letters of my soul, like the sea in late November, my steady waves have seen the storm. But further down I just might remember that slow, peaceful way back home. So when the years are all behind me and my time has passed me by, only thankfulness will find me. I'll be grateful by and by. Well, I've had dreams and I've had visions. Some came true by faith or chance. I've known the sweetness of good fortune, and I've seen it all slip right through my hands. So when the years are all behind me and my time has passed me by, only thankfulness will find me. I'll be grateful by and by. You felt the fire of my fury. You've known my demons and my doubts, but you see through my fear and worry, like the sun behind the clouds. So when the years are all behind me and my time has passed me by, only thankfulness will find me. I'll be grateful by and by. So when the years are all behind me and my time has passed me by, only thankfulness will find me. I'll be grateful by and by. I'll be grateful by and
There's always a lot going on in the Zoom room. There are weekly gatherings for loving kindness, meditation, poetry, a tea party, yoga, and writing. In addition, this afternoon, we'll be gathering in person in front of the church at 2:30 for an outdoor service project. Arlington Street cleans up. Please meet Reverend Beth and Reverend Kim there, wearing a mask, and bring gloves if you have them and a trash bag. We'll also open the Zoom room if you'd like to pop in to say hello or head out into your own community to clean up and let us know where you went. On Tuesday evening at 6 o'clock, Buddha's Belly Book Group gathers here in the Zoom room to continue reading the 5 invitations, followed by the Arlington Street Meditation Center. Please visit ascboston.org for information about everything going on. Next Sunday is our annual Blessing of the Animals. Please plan to get your animal companions on camera during the morning service. In addition, at 1:30, there will be an annual promenade around the lagoon in the Boston Public Garden. Again, we'll open the Zoom room so that we can all be together. To attend any of these offerings, you don't have to be a member, you don't have to turn on your video or talk if you don't want to, and it's free. All are always welcome. Each Sunday, we share our collection plate with a partner in our mission of love, service, justice, and peace. This month, our gifts are being shared with Louisiana's Lowlander Center to support their efforts in Hurricane Ida relief and recovery. You can read all about it in the order of service. Please text the amount you want to give and the word share, S-H-A-R-E, to 617-300-0509. Detailed instructions are in the chat. Thank you for your generosity. Following the service, everyone is welcome to join in virtual coffee hour. If you'd like to come, you can answer yes to an invitation that will appear on your screen, inviting you to participate in a breakout room conversation. Before I turn it over to Mark David for closing hymn, thank you to all of you who joined in today's service and to all those who made it possible. Remember, we're all in this together.
Thank you, Daryl. And thanks to everyone here live making it happen as well. Our closing hymn is Glory, Glory, Hallelujah, Since I've Laid My Burdens Down. And if you want to stand up or do a little dancing or a little clapping, it's a pretty good song to do it to. Glory, glory, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Glory, glory, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. 1, 2, 1, 2. Glory, 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 hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Glory, glory, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Feel like shouting, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Feel like shouting, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Life is sweeter, life is sweeter, so much sweeter, since I laid my burdens down. Life is sweeter, so much sweeter, since I laid my burdens down. I feel like dancing, hallelujah, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Feel like dancing, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Love is shining all around us, since I laid my burdens down. Love is shining all around us, since I laid my burden down. Glory, 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 hallelujah, since I laid my burdens down. Glory, glory, hallelujah, since I laid my burdens
Before our benediction, I invite you to reach out your hands and touch the sides of your square. Touch hands with the people to your left and to your right, and send out love to the person on either side of you. And to the people on either side of them, send out love into this beloved spiritual community, and feel it coming back to you. Love is the spirit of this congregation. And now for our benediction, I invite you to put your hands over your heart in Namaste. I bow to the divine in you. Please join me in the we version of the Serenity Prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Let us keep this faith, beloveds, and pass it on. The service begins when the service ends. Bless your hearts. I love you. Amen.
Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. Where you go, I will go, beloved. Where you go, I will go. For your people are my people. Your
Please visit ascboston.org for more information about this historic Unitarian Universalist congregation. Arlington Street Church, gathered in love and service for justice and peace.